Hey guys, it's Time Travel Reviews. Now, I am reviewing probably my most anticipated movie of the year, and that is Brave, and that is Pixar's new movie. I actually just saw it just then, actually, I came home from the cinema, it finished about an hour, no, not an hour ago, about 45 minutes ago. So, it's fresh on my brain. So I'm going to tell you what I think of it. Now, this was so anticipated by me that I actually made something that I never actually did before, and that was like a video discussing what I think this movie is going to be and what I hope for it to be. And that was back earlier this week. Since then, the movie started getting reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. Before that, it had no reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. At first, there was one negative review and two positive reviews, making 66% low for a Pixar movie. Then it moved, I think, in one day to 86%. Now it's on 88%. So it's actually pretty high. Like, not as high as a Pixar movie, but there's only been seven fresh reviews and one rotten review. You can't tell; it could change completely between now and then. But probably it's going to stay in the fresh range. Now, what do I think of it? Well, I can sum this movie up with one word: convention. This movie is conventional as hell. Now, in my video discussing what I think this movie is going to be, I kind of just hope that Pixar would, because from the trailers, this looked like a very conventional, very cliche, very done before movie, and I really hope that Pixar were just doing that just to make our expectations low. Maybe it wouldn't be like as great as some of the other Pixar movies, but maybe it might be, pretty good, and they just wouldn't want to surprise us. There were no surprises in this movie. It's formulaic. It's the same as movies that have been done before. Another thing that I could call this movie is Mother Bear, because this movie, Brother Bear, go watch that. It's the same movie. Bloody hell, somebody gets turned into a bear and they learn things about themselves, what they've done wrong, how to fix their things, yada yada yada. But all right, let me talk about some of the positives before I really get into the negatives. Now, this movie, it's got very good visuals. Let me just say that. Probably the best movie I've seen in terms of visual as an animated ever, because of the fact that I really haven't gone to too many. Actually, no, that's wrong. Happy Feet 2, that was better than this. Yeah, but yeah, the visuals great, but I think Happy Feet 2 I preferred more. Maybe it was just the Antarctica setting, but the visuals are very superb, and it has a very good atmosphere. Let me just say that, a very dark atmosphere. Now, I actually saw this in 3D, and I don't really like 3D movies. It isn't necessary to see this in 3D at all, really. There is nothing really that happens in 3D, but the 3D did not annoy me. A lot of 3D movies, kind of, I just fiddle with the glasses and kind of like, they just kind of like, what, this 3D's like, kind of, this one, the 3D was pretty good. It was a bit blurry at times, but overall it's pretty good, and I guess I don't necessarily recommend the 3D, but if you like 3D, yeah, go and see this in 3D, because I really want to give 3D another chance, because when I saw Tintin last year, that's when I said, I'm not going to watch 3D anymore, because I feel like every movie I watch in 3D downgrades the movie, I can't really say that with this movie. It didn't downgrade it or upgrade the movie, so yeah, if you like 3D, go and see it in 3D. Now, some positive things. I'd say that the characterization is pretty good. Main character, I want to pronounce it right. Merida. Is it Merida or Marilla or something? Whatever. Yeah, she's a nice character, and the Queen, Queen Eleanor. Sorry, I'm terrible with names, whether it's movies or real life. She's pretty good as well, like in terms of characters, and the King is also King Fergus. They're good characters, I guess. Right now, those are mainly my positives. And also, there's one thing that I like about this movie. It's a animated movie that takes itself seriously. Thank you. Bloody hell. Hardly get any of those these days. So, I'm good that we have that. That's kind of like wrapped up in the box of what a Pixar movie should be. Cars 2. Ugh. But yeah. So at least it does that. And I mean, obviously, it has a lot of comic relief, but for the most part it takes itself seriously, and its atmosphere is good, and it's the pacing is pretty good. It isn't perfect. The first 30 minutes are a bit slow in my opinion. I must also mention that I needed to go to the toilet for most of this movie, which is a bit sad because that usually downgrades like when you think of a movie. But um, let me get to the negatives now and tell you what I didn't like about this movie. Now, I said at the start, conventions, 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 and that's what this movie is. Conventions. Everything you think is going to happen happens. There is nothing surprising in this movie. The ending is exactly what you think it's going to be. I've seen this before. It's Brother Bear. I mean, obviously, it's not exact plot of Brother Bear, but it's incredibly similar. Brother Bear 2 goes by a similar plot too, and I prefer both of those movies to this movie. Um, there's definitely the thing. I talked about this in my previous in my thoughts on this. It's exactly what I thought it would be. It's got the mother who doesn't let it wants the child to be one thing, the child wants to be another thing, and then at the end they accept. I call it well, spoilers. And at the end they accept them, the child for who they are, and everyone's happy. And blah, blah, blah. It's got that. And yeah, so you've seen that before, The Little Mermaid, Kung Fu Panda, Planet of the Chance of Meatballs parodied it, How to Train Your Dragon, a million billion other movies, Happy Feet, million billion other movies. It's the same bloody thing again, which is really really sad. I thought that Pixar really tried to go against the conventions. Cars 2, it might be a bad movie, but at least it's not cliche. It's not a cliche and a movie. It's something different. This movie is like every other animated movie that has been. How to Train Your Dragon. This movie feels a lot like that movie, but How to Train Your Dragon at least had a bit more creativity. Now let me talk about now. I was really excited when I heard that Pixar were going to do a fairy tale. Not because I'm like a fairy tale person, but I thought that maybe they might be a bit darker and maybe they might have some really creative ideas on how to use magic. There really wasn't anything here. Like okay, spoilers here. But yeah, the curse is getting turned into a bear, and I actually knew about this about straight after I did that thoughts on this because I went on TV Tropes and they were saying how it was leaked basically because the merchandise had already been released with like the kids and Queen Eleanor being turned into a bear. And come on, Pixar, you can do better than that. A bear, really? As I get Mother Bear. This movie should be titled Mother Bear. We've already seen this before. Why are we seeing it again? And Brother Bear did it so much better as well. It had a twist ending. It had much more emotion. Well, actually, the emotion wasn't as forced as this movie is. And the ending also it did something a bit more. I won't say ballsy, but it did something a bit more original than what most movies would choose to do on this. But a curse turning into a bear, really? Is that all we can think of? It. We've seen this so many times. Percy Kids turns into an animal, and they have to like learn their ways. Well, Emperor's New Groove and Brother Bear. Can't think of too many other movies, but you got the Page Master and all that kind of. There's probably like a couple more movies that you can pull out of a hat and find this convention, but whatever. We've seen it before, and I expected Pixar to think of something more original than just this with a fairy tale. Now, it's got this mother-daughter story, and again, it's conventional. The characters, like, I didn't really feel emotional for them, really. Like, I could see why they'd feel this way, but I didn't really feel emotional for them. And really, the character of Merida, I don't know how to pronounce her. They at the end they're like, spoilers by the way. They're like to her, when Queen Eleanor, she's obviously changed by being a bear. And she's like to Merida, and you've changed too. No, she hasn't. She did not change throughout this movie. She is exactly the same. She wanted something, and she got it by the end. She wanted her mother to change, and she got it. She didn't have to do anything. She supported her mother, sure, but that was only because her mother was changing her mind. And I really don't see, like, I mean, okay, whatever. Like, bloody Merida catches fish for her mother, and fights off a bear. Like, I really don't see. I mean, sure, yeah, she got turned into a bear and she gets to see her daughter, like, in the wild, yeah, whatever. But, I mean, it was really not. Marita didn't have to do any work. I mean, Queen Eleanor just changed by herself. Marita didn't change at all, and I mean, learning to love her mother. The only reason that she learns to love her mother is because of the fact that her mother has changed. But yeah, so and also there's a subplot about like these people are obviously fighting over Marita. You know, if you've seen the trailer, there's like that Target practice and the Target thing where they're I've seen that in movies before. I can't really. I know there's one movie that I've definitely seen that before. I can't remember what it was. Where it's the girl that's fighting for her own hand. Um, it's like I don't know when it was like an early 2000s medieval action movie. I can't remember which one it is. Probably somebody can mention it. But yeah, like those people from those men that are all shooting the arrows, they're like tribes in is this Ireland or Scotland? I really should have known that, but they didn't actually really tell. Okay, whatever. Whether it's in Ireland or Scotland, I really should know that. But yeah, I think it's in Scotland. They have Scottish accents. They don't have Irish accents. Whatever. So yeah, the people of Scotland are fighting against each other, all the tribes. Um, and basically, like in the middle of the movie, like Marita makes this speech about how you should not be fighting. You should be together, and you should not be waging war with each other. No, no, you don't get to make that speech. No, because they never did that. These men. I'll talk about this in a second. But yeah, these men. Basically, they don't fight against. All they're doing is just they're like play fighting. Nobody dies. All they're doing is like in this room, just like shooting like bow and arrows at each other, and like they're just having a good time. They're like getting drunk. I didn't see any beer, but they're whatever. They're having a good time, and they seem like they love to fight with each other, and it's part of their culture. And it just kind of waves over it this as well. Like I mean, by the end, I can't really see any changes of these men, like these tribes. Like I guess like they kind of like they stop fighting with each other, kind of a bit. But it really just waves over this completely. It doesn't really like. It's like a subplot that isn't a subplot, to be honest. Like, it's just she makes a speech about it, and it's a big part of the movie. So I would just like, but it doesn't really follow through at the end of the movie. But really, this movie is quite sexist as well. I mean, I appreciate the fact that they have a female lead, and a female sidekick, whatever. What do you want to call your brother bear? Two males. This is two females. I appreciate that they do. But do you have to make every single male in this movie an imbecile? They got these three. She's got these three brothers. Like they do have some use in the movie, but mostly they're just comic relief. They're just comic relief characters, and that's really something I wouldn't expect from a Pixar movie. Pixar know how to do their comic relief. I'll talk about that more in a second. But yeah, there's no every male character in this movie is insane, is an imbecile. Not one is like the ones that the ones that are aggressive are treated as imbeciles. The ones that are weak and stupid are treated as imbeciles. So just this movie just really does not like men. It just seems like that, or it just seems like Pixar they made all these movies with male leads and mostly male characters. This is them trying to pay back their dues. So whatever. It didn't really offend me too much, but I did notice that. Okay, now the comic relief. There's maybe a couple of times where I laughed in this movie, not out loud, really, but just laugh a bit of a chuckle. But for the most part, this comic relief is not good. Pixar are really good at putting comic relief in their movies. This movie tries very hard to put it in because, as you would imagine, it's a quite a not necessarily darker, but it's a more serious story, I guess. But I mean, Toy Story 3, I don't know. I really don't know because I think it's because of the lack of just fun characters. But Toy Story 3, that is such a dark, serious movie, but yet they still manage to have such a great amount of comic relief in it. But still manages to be dark. But I think it's because like it's funny how dark it is, so maybe that's the reason why. But this movie, just the comic relief just fell flat. It was not that funny. Pixar are awesome, usually awesome at comic relief. Wally loved the comic relief. Up, actually, I know I didn't really like the comic relief in Up. But it was still better than this, I think. Cars 2, I didn't like it either. Okay, well, Pixar are hit and miss with comic relief, but for the most part, I really like how Pixar do comedy. And this movie really did not have that. It just seems like a lot of other animated movies inserted, especially in the first half. You know how in what's it called, that movie with that guy, like Despicable Me. That's right. You know those minion things? Well, they are basically the equivalent of Merida's little brothers. Also, I don't really like how this movie it sets up its plot. It kind of just it has that thing where she follows her fate basically. It's just like, okay, it's kind of like Men in Black 3. Like, okay, so you're supposed to do this, so go do this. And also, like, I mean, the whole how the plot starts. It's very just coincidental inconvenience. And like just the whole complication in this movie is just a coincidental inconvenience. Yeah, but okay. Well, I'm going to stop talking now. But what I can say about Brave is that it really met my negative expectations of what this was going to be. Everything that I thought that this movie was going to be bad, basically got fulfilled. Not to say it is a bad movie. As I said earlier, I'm a sucker for animated movies that take themselves more seriously. And I mean, I love just like any kind of fantasy that kind of takes itself seriously. So just because of that, it kind of made me like this movie, despite the fact that I didn't really like the actual thing, but like the actual movie, the movie script, and it has a good atmosphere. But Pixar, you can do so much better. We've seen you. As this would rate when the Pixar movies, for me, this is definitely worse than everything except for Cars 1 and Cars 2. I think it's even worse than Cars, and it's better than Cars 2. But Cars 2, it kind of, as I said earlier, it's more creative than a lot of other animated films, and it has a bit more fun. Like, it's a bad movie, but it has fun. And so, I mean, it's something different. Like, if you wanted to get drunk and watch that movie, it'd be a great movie. Even though it makes absolutely no, well, because it makes no sense. This movie, I can't really see me enjoying this movie that much as any other Pixar movie, really, at any stage. So I'm going to give this a 6.5 out of 10. And I really did not have high expectations for this movie, so don't say it's because of the fact that I expected Pixar to do better. Really, I expect every animation studio to do good, not just Pixar. When I went to put Puss in Boots, like, I gave that a 6.5 out of 10 as well, because it really wasn't really that as good as I thought it would be. Like, no, well, it wasn't just that great. Tintin, like, I don't even know who that company that makes that, and I just gave it a 7.5, which is, like, it's pretty good. So, Happy Feet 2, I didn't really like that movie, but it gave me a good feeling, so that's why I rated it high. So it's really not. I don't know who these animation studios are, so it's not really about expectations. It's just about if the movie is good or not. And I really didn't think that this movie was that great. And yeah, so I prefer Brother Bear and Brother Bear 2 over Mother Bear. And 6.5 is kind of the score that 6.5 that is, yeah, it's a score that kind of it's between me recommending and not recommending it. Um, I would basically recommend this movie to people who like conventional animated movies. How to Train Your Dragon. If you like that, take a look at this. I don't think it's as good as How to Train Your Dragon. I didn't even like How to Train Your Dragon that much. If you like Kung Fu Panda, take a look at this. If you just like Pixar's other animated films, I guess try it out. But it is getting very high ratings on Rotten Tomatoes, so maybe it's just me. But for me, I expected Pixar to do a lot better than this, and I'm kind of dreading Monsters Inc. 2 next year, which is Monsters University, which is the prequel to Monsters Inc. I'm kind of dreading that now that I've seen this, but I'm sure that, Pixar might have two misses, but they could have a hit if they wanted to. Cars, after Cars, they rebounded back with four absolutely not perfect, but absolutely great movies. So probably the best actually, those four movies. So I'm not going to doubt Pixar yet, but they need to do a lot better. So that's all. Thank you for watching. I was wrong about one thing though, and there was no romance in this movie, which is kind of cool. But I felt like that's not a reason to like this movie just because there's no romance. No romance in bloody Bolt either. That doesn't mean that that makes that movie any better. So it was something original, I guess, and there wasn't any romance. And also, might as well mention that the climax in this movie was really forced. And that's all. Goodbye.